Welcome to Journey On. I'm DJ Burr, the host and executive producer. I'm a licensed psychotherapist, behavioral addiction specialist, and best-selling author of I Just Wanted Love, Recovery of a Codependent Sex and Love Addict, available on Amazon, Audible, and iTunes. This podcast is for male survivors of sexual abuse and assault who want to experience a life worth living beyond a tragic past. I'm a survivor just like you, and I know the complexity of healing from trauma. I also know the joy that comes from the healing process. Hear our stories and share your own. You are not alone. You too can breathe deep and journey on. I encourage you to visit the Journey On website, www.journeynonpod.com. There you will find a link to sign up for my Recovery Journey newsletter, learn about my weekend recovery events for male survivors, and my online recovery coaching services for male survivors. If you have questions, concerns, or comments, or would like to be on the show, email me at journeynonpodcast@gmail.com. Journey On is on social media. Tweet us at JourneyOnPod. Find us on Instagram and Facebook at Journey On Podcast. The month of April is National Sexual Assault Awareness Month, sponsored by the National Sexual Violence Resource Center. This year, the SAM campaign is engaging new voices. The focus will be on involving coaches, faith leaders, parents, Greek life, and bystanders by preventing sexual assault. Many groups know about sexual assault and believe it is a problem, but they don't know how they can help. With this year's toolkit and postcards, the NSVRC hopes to help these new voices begin to talk about preventing sexual assault. You can download the toolkits and postcards, as well as other supporter tools at www.nsvrc.org/SAAM/get-involved. Look out for our social media posts this month using the hashtag SAM, that's SAAM, and the hashtag JourneyOn as we celebrate National Sexual Assault Awareness Month. I'll be looking for your posts with the same hashtags as well, and you never know, I might reach out to you and want to hear your story. So Andre, welcome to Journey On. I am pleased that you had some time to talk to us about your story. Can you tell our audience where you are, how old you are, and then we can go into your story?
Sure, thanks, DJ. My name is Andre Bisquera. I live here in Honolulu, Hawaii. Born in the state of Washington, where you're currently at, and I'm 41 years old. I just turned 41 Friday. So.
Oh, wow. Happy birthday.
Yeah, thanks.
Hope it was fun.
Yeah, it was a good day, just surfing and gardening and just relaxing.
Okay. Wow. All right. So, Andre, I found you online because I saw that you were doing work around sexual abuse support in the legal system. Can you tell us a bit about that before you go into your story?
Sure. I've been involved in some of the statute of limitations bills that have been going through in the legislature here in Hawaii. Back in 2012, we passed window legislation, basically allowing for us 2 years for survivors whose statute of limitations had lapsed to bring civil suit against their perpetrators. And took a few years testifying. It got vetoed 1 year, and then the next year we were able to pass it through the same committees, and it got signed by the governor. And that lasted from 2012 to 2014, and then in 2014 it got extended, and then just recently expired last year. Wow. And then whenever there's any other types of bills, there's another one that was related to criminal sexual assaults against minors, and sorry, I don't know everything offhand, but that one was also passed. I think the 2014 and 15. So definitely helped survivors here in Hawaii, find some, I don't know about closure, but at least find some a way to express themselves and maybe for the first time tell someone about the abuse and bring suit I know there was a lot of suits brought against the Catholic Church out here and other various organizations that were either complicit or not complicit in the abuse of children.
And is it your role are you an advocate for these folks who are coming forward, or are you sharing your story as well?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of folks out here that are, it's their job. They're the policy folks at the Sex Abuse Treatment Center, or, they're part of the Women's Caucus or Planned Parenthood. So definitely have advocates there. I'm just wanting to provide a voice from the survivor point of view. I think it's important that the survivors just hear other survivors talking about it, and especially a survivor that kind of looks like them and may have gone through the same experiences of maybe having the same Filipino family or local kind of family that has those same values. So just trying to provide another example that people can look up to and know that it's that there's a way out, and that other people are suffering just as well, and then not to feel alone.
Well, I'm sure they really appreciate it, and I do too, because we need more people to share their stories, and that's why I created the Journey On podcast for male survivors to talk about their experiences, with the hope that those who are still suffering in silence will come to understand and realize and accept that they're not alone, and to start the healing process. So, Andre, can you tell us what happened and how that led you to the work that you're doing now?
Like I said, I grew up in Vancouver, Washington, just a couple hours south of Seattle, where you're at. Some point, before junior high, I'm in grade school. My dad's son from another family from the Philippines came to live with us, and we didn't have a lot of bedrooms, so they decided that he should share a room with me, the youngest son. And my older brother at the time was in high school. And teenagers, they're not going to have any of that. They're going to want their privacy and whatnot. So I figured it'd be best to put him in my room, but in hindsight, not the best thing. He started to groom me and sexually abused me for years. There's nothing really you could do about it since we were in the same room. Culturally, you're taught to respect your elders. I think maybe my parents thought that would be a good way for someone to, I guess, watch over me and raise me, but that's a lot of power to be given to someone that can be abused.
How much older was he?
It was like 8-10 years older.
Oh my.
Yeah. And there were threats of violence and like that, and just so it's, there's not a lot of opportunity or being taught or encouraged to speak out. Kids, at least in my family, aren't really made to be seen, not heard, so to speak. It's you just obey your parents, what they want. There's not a lot of dialogue and loving interaction. I'm not going to say that's all Filipino families, but I would say most.
I can relate. Growing up in an African American family, from what you're describing, it sounds very similar. There's just a lot of things you just don't talk about.
Yeah, definitely. It's you throw in some Catholic guilt, and you have a recipe for a lot of just stuffed down feelings for a while, and just never confronting these difficult situations, either with your family or yourself.
Yeah, so you were in junior high, and
Before junior high, like so
Before
grade
junior.
school.
Oh, okay, grade
Yeah.
school. Okay. I imagine that that must have been very confusing to you and definitely had some impact in how you showed up in your social life and in your education. Can you talk about some of the things that happened?
Uh, I did a pretty, the mind and the body is pretty amazing in just how it survives and what it does, defense mechanisms. I was just able to, force it down and never talk about it again. Um, Felt kind of fortunate. I was involved in, I don't even know if they even have these today in the public school systems, but the uh, highly capable or gifted and talented, they just kind of pluck out the few kids that are smarter and put them in a different class. So I was able to, hide in my books and be a smart kid and just get my A's and not get bothered by my parents. So I pretty much just was super busy in junior high, high school. I was a 4.0 student, was involved in pretty much every sport every season, and played music. So I just stayed busy, and what really kept me like motivated was just knowing that when I was 18, I just I need to get into college and just get out of here.
Yeah. So you were staying busy and motivated about the future, and that probably didn't look suspicious to those around you.
Oh no, they were happy. They had a kid who was, getting straight A's and playing music in the choir. Seemed normal. Was running track, going to state. So, and for me, right, uh, I'm one of the few kids of color in my junior high, high school. I mean, last thing I just want to get along. Last thing I want to do is bring up, I don't want to be that kid who's like, oh yeah, he's the guy who got abused. This is, that's not something I'm going to do. I'm just going to, as a teenager, you're just trying to get along as it is. And that was the last thing I was going to bring up.
Yeah, had you known anyone, in your life who had gone through something similar, and you had seen how the response was for them, or did you just know to keep silent because of the perceived judgment that you might receive?
Well, you know how kids are. I mean, the guy who's, had green hair, just anything different, anyone was going to call you out on it, bully you, or just shun you, social creatures, right? So you just try to act as everyone else is acting so you can just remain in the herd, so to speak.
Right. Okay.
And no, I have to ask you a question. No, I didn't know anyone else.
Okay. All right.
But,
So
you see people, the outcasts or whoever, you don't want to be them, right? So.
absolutely. I can remember seeing people getting bullied, and I definitely didn't want to be one of those people who were bullied. And so I kept my mouth closed about a lot of things too. So I totally understand that. So, it's difficult for me to really just to understand how you were able to function so well in this home where you were being abused on a regular basis. It sounds like you have a very strong will to protect yourself. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think, I don't know if it's a nature thing, but I think some people are maybe can handle some adversity and are able to fight through it.
Yeah.
I
Sound like
just
a
felt fortunate I was able to, functionally survive. I definitely was functional, but I wasn't like thriving or anything.
Yeah. What do you think that would have looked like for you if you were thriving instead of just being functional?
Just being more aware of like my feelings and just understanding um, who I was, and just being um, able to use all my talents and whatnot. I felt like I was functional, but operating like at 60%. You know, I'm just holding back. It was just this heavy load that I've been carrying that, you know, it's going to weigh on you. Can't be peak performance if you're dragging a boulder around.
That's true. At some point, did someone notice that you were dragging that boulder?
Yeah, finally told an ex-girlfriend of mine when I was living in Lake Tahoe. Yeah, it's just it had been a while. It had been, you know, first time I told anyone, so just you know, it's cathartic. It's just open, but when you know, push something like that down for like 27 years, it's you know, tough to deal with it, you know.
And she was the first person you told?
Right.
Man, that's a lot to bring into a relationship, and clearly you felt safe enough to be vulnerable. So I'm glad that you had that experience with someone who was safe. Did she have any recommendations on what you should do?
It was kind of a mutual. She had told me that she was sexually abused as a kid too, so it's
I see.
Yeah.
And that sounds like probably was a very impactful conversation.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So you were able to trust someone enough to say, "Hey, this is my truth," because you were hearing their truth as well. And then, what did you do after that?
Well, you just kind of you know, started seeing some therapists. You know, we kind of shared like you know, shared experience that, you know, bonded us in a way, but it was kind of tough. There's definitely the focus on, I don't know how to say that, the darker side of feelings, suffering and all that, which on one way it's good to kind of emote that stuff and, you know, talk about it instead of just letting things just well up, actually release some of that anger. But at some point you have to move forward, in my opinion, and look at the positive.
Well, it makes sense to me that you would need to talk about those really heavy emotions because you hadn't. You know, most people who are abused learn to stuff their feelings, and so being
It's
able
all
to,
secrets, right?
it's all secrets, and it's toxic. You got shame, guilt, fear, anger, sadness, which in you know, in a normal situation, all those are really basic, normal things that we all experience. But you're talking about repressed feelings over an extended period of time. That's toxic, in my opinion. And
No,
so
definitely.
I could see it being dark.
Yeah, I think the way I was able to just be functional is just kind of go in my head. You know, it's a really, you know, you live in your head, and you kind of lose touch with your body, lose touch with those feelings, understanding.
Yeah.
When you know, you feel something, and you know how to describe that is that, especially since, you know, the body was already violated, and then now it's want to just get away from all that. So you have your brain that kind of creates these illusions for you to survive.
Yep, the brain is very powerful. So it sounds like your coping strategies were to suppress your feelings and also to stay busy. Did you have any
Yeah,
others?
I was very active. Used to snowboard and rock climb. Uh, I ran a lot. I played ultimate frisbee. It was a sport I got into just because I like to run. Um, Surfing. So, so I don't want to say that I was an adrenaline junkie, but there's something about being involved, either rock climbing or snowboarding, when you're just in the moment, right? You don't have time to think about, what happened to you. You're just in the moment, or you're gonna fall off a rock or drown.
Right.
So I feel lucky I had those outlets. I also smoked a lot of marijuana, did some psychedelics to kind of get that same egoless, egoless feeling of, you know, living in the present, not worrying about past things.
Did those substances become a problem for you?
A little bit. I was smoking a little too much, but to the point it wasn't. It was just a date. Realized it was just a numbing of the pain.
Yeah, a very deep pain. Hmm.
And then, doing a lot of therapy. Probably gone through like 6 or 7 therapists. So it's, just trying to find the right person, or one would pass away, or I'd move around, or I'd switch jobs and switch insurances. So it's,
That can be a process. As a therapist, I know how challenging it can be for people to actually get in the door and then stay. And, for one reason or another, you may not be able to stay for a long period of time. So I definitely understand that piece. Can you talk about maybe a significant experience you had in therapy? Because a lot of people still have misconceptions about therapy. And I think that therapy can be really rewarding and also challenging. So I think it's helpful to hear people's perspectives about that process.
uh, yeah, I mean, probably one of the main things is you have to be kind of truthful. Lying to your therapist is basically lying to yourself, and you're paying this person. So,
Right.
so yeah, that part.
Oh, that happens a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to just take it from a pure, just like, financial standpoint, but, you know, you get in what you put out. So if you're bullshitting him, you're bullshitting yourself or her, and you're not really getting much done.
That's true. So, when you went into therapy, did you find that you were telling lies, or were you always truthful?
I don't want to say telling lies, but maybe it's taken a while to actually get to the root. I think our first couple of therapists, especially in the Bay Area, I focused more like on identity and anger issues, the symptoms. I mean, identity, I think, was a big thing. Just being, like I mentioned before, one of the few people of color in my junior high school, and then trying to find that source of who I was as a Asian American, and moving to the Bay Area kind of brought that to the forefront. Every minority group has a voice there, right? So it was a good place to be, but I was skirting the real issue and focusing on things like that, because I didn't really want to open up the box and talk about things really hurting.
Was there
So
something?
just found ways to. I mean, I was addressing issues, but it wasn't necessarily like the main main source, you know.
Did something happen that prompted you to finally reveal the truth so you could start working on it?
Well, I'd always mention it, but then I tried to, I guess, push the therapy in that direction, or because it depends on your therapist, right? Some will sit back and listen. Some are a little more direct and pushing you in a direction. So, and then I just found that there wasn't a lot, or at least the ones that I found, that had a lot of experience with survivors of sex abuse. So just like, well, if that's not your specialty, we'll talk about something else. You know?
Oh, wow, yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, it sounds like you finally found someone that could hear you and help you.
Yeah, out here in Hawaii, they actually have the Sex Abuse Treatment Center. So it's folks that, you know, by the name, have direct experience and expertise in that area.
Man, that's amazing. I wish every city and every state had a resource like that.
Yeah, it was very surprising. I couldn't find anything like that in San Francisco. But yeah, and then of course, just a lot of support and pushing by my wife. She's been one who's been, you know, my rock, and just really been there for me and dealing with all my shit. So
at some point you told your family, what was the response?
You know, there was just, you know, kind of disbelief, and they're mad and angry and, you know, wondering why I didn't say something, you know, the usual kind of responses.
Did they believe you at some point?
Yeah, they believe me.
Okay, good. And what happened with this half brother, or was it step brother?
Half brother,
yeah.
He still lives in, I think, Southern California. I've attempted to, you know, confront him. I wrote him a letter and whatnot. It's kind of weird. It was, I guess, intercepted by his wife, and so I still don't know if he ever got it or ever knows that, you know, that I know what he did and wasn't right, and just trying to make sure that he's not doing it to other, you know, his own kids or other kids.
Right. Yeah, I imagine
I've tried multiple ways to try and, you know, get the message through, but, you know, I don't know.
You can only do so much.
Yeah.
Right, because you have to continue to focus on your own healing, and you made an attempt to reach out, and I imagine that was really hard for you and your family to have those types of conversations. I know that when disclosing abuse, people can be in disbelief, and sometimes that can seem like they don't believe you at all, and that can be hard too. But I'm really glad to hear that your family heard you and they believed you.
Yeah, and well, I think the biggest thing is to have low expectations, or, you know, not to think that, oh yeah, if I do this, and then everything's going to be great and we're going to be this great family again because I, you know, disclose something. It doesn't, you know, that one event doesn't change people's lives.
Right, and it makes sense to have low expectations or even no expectations, but to just speak your truth.
Yeah, definitely. You don't want to think that, oh yeah, this is going to make me happy. It's like, no. You realize that it's just one step of many in the process, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Did you use any other?
But But all the work to get there seems like a lot, but then there's still a lot of work after.
Yes, there's going to always be a lot of work. Did you use any other tools other than therapy and talking with family about your abuse? Did you go to any support groups or do any online meetings, anything like that?
I went to one of the male survivor weekend of recoveries.
Oh, how was that?
Oh, those are amazing.
Yeah.
They're, you're just you're in the weekend with like 20 other guys that, to some, that's probably one of the first times to either disclose or even know other survivors. So it's pretty powerful.
What kind of
be just around, like, I don't know how to describe it, like your tribe, so to speak. I don't know.
Yeah, we are a
shared
tribe.
experience, right? You have no, when you think, when you haven't disclosed, you think, like you said, suffered in silence, that you're suffering alone. But just to have that bond with these other men there, it's pretty powerful. If you can do it, I'd definitely go out and do one of their weekends.
What type of activities did they have?
They, it was, I think, 20, 25 men, and then they broke you up into smaller groups, and then they had obviously some smaller group therapy. There were some walks, and then if that was your thing, you could do some artwork to kind of work out some feelings. And then you bring back to the large group, and you did all the kind of team building activities and things like that.
Sounds like an amazing experience.
Yeah, it was great. It was in Santa Cruz area, so that was nice. And I think they're all over America. I don't know if they're going to come to the West Coast again, but depends on funding.
Sure, yeah, it always depends on funding.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate part. It depends on funding. Okay, so did you stay in contact with any of those folks?
No, unfortunately. Tried to. It's just, I think at the time, just didn't materialize.
That's all right. I mean, it sounds like it was a great weekend experience and you got to meet a lot of different people. And the experiences that you had while you were there, I think you'll probably hold on to for the rest of your life, even if you're not in contact with those individuals. So I think that's a really good thing for people to consider, is like if there's an opportunity to go to a male survivor weekend retreat or some type of workshop or something, I support that 100%. I think those can be really rewarding. So I'm glad to hear that that you had a really good experience.
Yeah, it's just, connecting, right? That's the big takeaway from that. Right now I have a friend of mine that disclosed, and we still talk, and as far as I know, we are, it's interesting to have friends that you were friends before you disclose, and then now you kind of have a deeper relationship. You can talk at lunch, you're not talking about bullshit scores,
Right. You're getting down to
talking
it.
about the hoops game. It's good to have someone who understands.
Yeah, it's always good to have that experience, and I hope our listeners can have that experience as well. I strongly encourage people to share their stories. It's powerful. So, the work that you're currently doing is this? I'm assuming that this is directly inspired by what you've experienced. Can you talk about how you got started with your advocacy work?
So before that, I just did a lot of advocacy with like the environment, working with water quality issues and beach access. And I had submitted testimony and testified at other bills that had gone through the Hawaii legislature, so I knew of the process. But then when something important like this came up, just knew I had to do something. And also it's very cathartic. I think as part of the process too of recovery, just getting out there and talking about it and getting interviewed by TV and radio and just getting the word out.
Yeah.
And then just letting the legislatures know the survivor side.
Mm-hmm. That's how I found you. I found you online through the media that has interviewed you. So it's definitely working.
Yeah, I mean, through the legislation, there's people who had reached out, and usually I would just refer them to the sex abuse treatment centers, and I'm not a therapist. And it's one thing if you kind of years into it, you're able to talk about it. We can talk story, but if you just disclosed, you probably should find some help. I'm there to. It'll be a shoulder, but there's a lot of issues that are going to come up that you probably want to have some professional help.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you'll need more support and services in the beginning. So yeah, I'm glad that those resources are there. Do you think this is work that you will continue to do?
Yeah, definitely. Depending on what's going on in legislation, when the opportunity presents to talk about it.
Good. What have you learned through this journey, on this path that you've been on?
Just a lot. Is just trying to think about the change I've been through, and definitely. And I guess one thing would be it's not about me. It's like there's just so stuck in my head for so long. It was you just get really focused on yourself, right? And thinking that you are this pain, I guess, that you identify with it, and it's really not. It's just something that happened to you. But like we said, the brain's pretty powerful. It likes to attach itself to these things,
but you can move through it.
Yeah.
Right. And it is a journey.
Yeah, it takes a while. I mean, that acceptance of what happened, acceptance of, limited ability or capability that your parents had to protect you, everything.
Yeah, I always say acceptance is a solution. And I have found that to be true in my life. And someone had to tell me that because I didn't always know that. And I have come to understand that we're all perfectly imperfect and we make mistakes and we don't always get the information that we need to show up for our families, our children, our friends, our partners. And so if we have the opportunity to learn something different, my hope is that we'll take it. We'll take that opportunity. And it sounds like you've taken the opportunities to grow and to journey on to having a life worth living. And it sounds like that's exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, recently just been doing a lot of, I think you asked about tools. Forgot about, I started to do some rolfing, which is a lot of working with the fascia in the body.
Okay.
Just how the body can store a lot of emotion and, get you all out of whack, get your spine out of whack. So that's been kind of painful, but it definitely is getting me back in order. Definitely for survivors, I would say do a lot of body work, yoga, massages. I know that could be kind of weird or frightening. Just getting used to maybe someone else's touch, but it is very healing. Have a Reiki practitioner, which helps with the energy and everything, keeping the flow, positive flow going.
Nice.
Staying active, surfing, and then meditating is pretty key. Just being present. If you're truly present, you can't really worry about what happened to you in the past and these horrible things, and you can't really be stressed out about the future because you're just here and now.
Wow, that's right. Just be here and now. Well, Andre, I am so grateful to you for taking the time out of your busy work day to talk to me and our audience about your experience. And I think your story is very impactful and inspiring, and I know that people will be helped by your experience. And so I want to thank you for being a part of the Journey On mission, which is to help people tell their stories.
Yeah, thank you, DJ. It's been great talking, and let me know if you want to talk story again.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a new tool available to all you Journey On followers. It's Journey On Survivors, a private Facebook group for survivors to network, build support, and to discuss all things Journey On. You can find the link on our homepage, journeynonpod.com, or link directly to it by going to bit.ly/journeyonsurvivors. I'll be on the group to answer any questions or to provide support. Check us out. That's bit.ly/journeyonsurvivors, or search Journey On Survivors on Facebook. Journey On is looking to hear from you. If you are interested in sharing your experience, strength, and hope with our audience, email us at journeynonpodcast@gmail.com for details. Journey On's production is currently funded in whole by me as part of my desire to provide support to those who are still suffering. Production costs fluctuate and can be prohibitive in terms of what I can offer to our audience. You can help support Journey On's mission by supporting the production. There are two options. You can donate the amount of your choice directly from your cell phone by texting the word JOURNEY to 855-735-2437. That's JOURNEY to 855-735-2437. Or you can become a patron of the show by setting up a monthly contribution by going to patreon.com/journeyon. That's patreon.com/JOURNEYON. Once there, you can select the contribution level of your choice. Thank you for considering. Don't forget to visit journeynonpod.com and sign up for my Recovery Journey newsletter. Once you have subscribed, you will get more information about my weekend male survivor retreats and my online coaching services for male survivors. Journey On is produced by DJ Burr and the Recovery Legacy Network, bringing you recovery on all fronts. Learn more at recoverylegacynetwork.com. Today's music features tracks by CDK and Airtone. You can learn more about the tracks on our website, journeynonpod.com. Until next time, breathe deep and journey on.